Welcome to the Write Good Books podcast, the audio companion to WriteGoodBooks.com, with your host Jason Bougger.
Hey, it's Jason. Welcome back to the podcast. We had some scheduling conflicts this week and I couldn't get together with Scott. So much like Tom Petty without the Heartbreakers or Bob Seger without the Silver Bullet Band, I'm on my own for this episode. Today is November 11th. If my calculations are correct, you should have 18,333 words written by the end of the night if you're one of the exciting people attempting NaNoWriMo this month. But what if you can't? What if you're not there? What if you've already fallen behind, like so far behind that you just want to quit? What do you do then? Well, we'll talk about it. Because I want to talk this episode about just encouraging you if you're doing NaNoWriMo for the first time. I've done it 3 times. The first time I tried it, I was thoroughly unprepared, and it was a horrible experience. It made me hate writing and hate myself for pretty much 30 days in November. The second time I got through it, and the third time I just barely got through it. We're talking like 50,001 words. But if you are doing it, and on this 11th day, you're a little bit behind, you're feeling a little bit discouraged, I want to recommend that you keep pushing through it. And if you can't, we'll talk about that too at the end. But if you want to keep doing it, let's say you are behind, you got to look at how far behind are you. Are you really that far behind? You should be a little over 18,000 words. Let's say you're at 15,000. So you've got 3,000 words to work with. That's really only a couple days down. I think your number one goal at this point needs to get caught up as quickly as possible, so you're not playing catch up all month, because that's when you really get discouraged, when all of a sudden you're saying, oh my god, I need 4,500 more words. Then what? But if you can get there quicker, it'll be easier. So what I would recommend at this point is, first thing, figure out how far behind you are and set a goal of getting there in 5 days. So say, you might only be 1 day down. Divide that out into 5 days, and that's only another 330 words a day, bringing your total to 2,000 instead of 1,600, 1,700 for 5 days. But regardless of how far you are, just set a catch-up plan and try to get caught up as quickly as you can, at least by next weekend, because your weekends, if you're, like most people, that's when you're not going to be at your day job, and that's when you really can sneak away into your writing cave and catch up. And remember, these don't have to be quality words. You're not writing for quality, you're writing a first draft, and your only goal with NaNoWriMo is to get those words out. So if you fill it up with adverbs, cut them later. Fill it up with whatever you need. Just write. Just keep that plot going. And when you're not writing, think about what you're going to write so that you're not stuck with 2 hours and saying, oh my god, I'm running out of time. Get there so that when you have 2 hours to write, you write and you get caught up. But what happens if you are too far behind? I know when I did it that first time, and I'm looking at, it was probably about the 15th of the month when I finally quit the first time I tried it, and at that point I had known as like, oh wow, I'm already 10,000 words down and this is killing me, I'm gonna stop. Sometimes you have to do that, especially if you're a first timer, especially if you're not an experienced writer yet, and especially if you're like me, just a slow writer. I'm a slow writer, a slow reader, and if you're listening to this podcast, you probably think I'm a slow speaker or even a slow thinker. But if you're so far behind that you need to quit, don't view this as a huge negative. Don't view this as a failure, even. What I'd say you should do is look at what you have written. Say it's the 11th of November. Say you've got 7,000 words written. Divide that out and figure out how much you wrote every day this month. And really congratulate yourself. So you didn't hit 1,700 words a day. Maybe you hit 1,000 a day. Maybe you hit 500 a day. It's something. It's something you wouldn't have written if you weren't doing NaNoWriMo, and it's not wasted words. What I think you should do, if your life or whatever is telling you it's time to quit, to maintain your sanity or whatever, look at how many words you wrote every day this month and make that your goal for the rest of the month. So if you did only write 500 words a day this month, then do that for the next 20 days, and you'll still have a pretty good chunk written of your manuscript. You know, if you get to the end of November and have 25 to 30,000 words written, I don't call that a failure at all. I think you should take that and keep working on that project. You don't need to throw those words out just because you didn't hit the arbitrary goal of 50,000 words. You know, most novels are not 50,000 words. Most of them are quite a bit more than that. So even if you do get to 50,000 words, you're not done. You're going to have to keep going. You're going to have to keep revising. So take whatever you could this month and expand on it. Maybe set yourself a goal of finishing your first draft by the end of the year instead of the end of November. Give yourself another month. You know, maybe you're going to work on a longer piece. Then give yourself to the end of first quarter 2018. It's not, you know, it's not all or nothing. You just keep working, keep getting those words out, and then you can always go back and try this next year. But maybe you won't even need to. After you get your first draft completed, whether it's at the end of November, at the end of December, at the end of July, whatever it is, it's the emotional victory of completing your first book. And a lot of people use NaNoWriMo for that reason. I did. You know, Holy Fudge Skulls was a NaNoWriMo project. But if you fail, you fail, and just don't view it that way. Look at what you did accomplish this month. And that's my point. I just wanted to give a little encouraging post about NaNoWriMo. I know it can be a traumatic experience for new writers, especially if they're not prepared. And if you can't do it, you can't do it. So take away what you can from it. And that will do it for this week. We went a little shorter podcast since it was just me. I'll be back next week with Scott. Hopefully, we'll get our schedules taken care of. And until then, if you'd like to support us, check us out on the web at writegoodbooks.com/podcast, or visit our Patreon account at patreon.com/writegoodbooks. And you can always send me an email at jason@writegoodbooks.com, or leave us a comment in the comments section if there's anything you'd like us to cover on a future episode. So thanks for listening, and see you next time.